Good morning and welcome to our last maths lesson of the week. It is Friday's maths and we are carrying on with our line graph work from yesterday. And today we're going to be drawing our own line graphs. Right, let's get started. Okay then, so here is our discover for today. So like I said, today is going to be drawing our own graphs. So if you've got squared paper at home, brilliant, use it. Okay, if you can't and you've not got a ruler, don't worry, just watch the lesson so you can kind of follow along, but don't worry if you can't do it because you've not got the equipment at home. That's absolutely fine. So our discover for today then, we have got miles and kilometres conversion table. So as we know, miles are kind of the old way of talking about distance. So that's the imperial measures, and then now we have kilometres, which is a metric measure, and the idea is that it's based around 10, 100 and 1,000. So kilo means 1,000, so a kilometre or kilometre is 1,000 metres, and then a centimetre, cent means 100, so 100 centimetres make up a metre. Millimetres, what does milli mean? Thousandth. So 1,000 millimetres make a metre, okay? So that's why we've gone to this more metric system, which should be easier to work out because you just have to work times things by 10, 100 and 1,000, which we know is really easy. Whereas miles, feet, inches, it's all a little bit trickier and it's not kind of nice and easy to work out. So sometimes you might need to convert between miles and kilometres, especially if you are driving. A lot of, road signs are still in miles, okay? So it still says it's 6 miles to get to a certain point. You also still drive at 30 miles per hour. So if you're going on a journey, it might help you to convert between miles and kilometres. So it says in the little table that 5 miles is the same as 8 kilometres, okay? They are equivalent. 10 miles is the same as 16 kilometres. 15 miles is the same as 24 kilometres. Now, you could, because I know how good you are at this, I know you could work out 20 miles and 25 miles just using that information in the table. But the other way you could work it out is by drawing a graph, and then you can use the graph to work out what the missing values might be. So, first question for us today then is, can you try and plot the other values on the table that haven't been plotted on the graph? So 15 miles hasn't been plotted. And then can you try and draw a straight line and carry that straight line on and see if you can work out what 20 miles would be in kilometres and what 25 miles would be in kilometres. And when you've done that, you need to use your graph to work out question B, how many miles convert to 44 kilometres? How many miles convert to 44 kilometres? Okay, have a go. Okay then, answer time. So hopefully your graph looks a little bit like the one on the right. So the points lie in a straight line, and that's because for every 5 miles there are 8 kilometres. So for every 5 you're going across, you're going up 8, and that pattern continues because the ratio of kilometres to miles is not changing. So because of that, you can draw a nice straight line through all the points. You can carry that line on and you can use it to work out other information. So for example, I can see that 20 miles, if I go up till I hit the line, go across, should be 32 kilometres. And I see that 25 miles is the same as 40 kilometres. Nice and easy. I'm now going to use this graph to work out 44 kilometres. That was question B. So if I go up to 44 kilometres, go across and then go down, it's in between 25 and 30. Okay, it's halfway between 25 and 30. Halfway between 25 and 30 would be 27.5 miles. Well done if you got that right. Right then, think together time. So we've got a different graph. Well, the same graph, but a bit smaller. And it's showing conversion of miles and kilometres again. So I want you to try and fill in the blanks. So 10 miles is equivalent to how many kilometres? 20 kilometres is equivalent to how many miles? And how many metres are there in 1 mile? So not how many kilometres, how many metres? Pause video, have a go. Right, answer time then. So If you go across to 10 miles and go up, you should see that it's equivalent to 16 kilometres. 20 kilometres then, if you go across to, so you're going up this time, 20 kilometres and going across and then down, is halfway between 10 miles and 15 miles, so it would be 12.5 miles. And then the last one, there are something meters in 1 mile. Right, this one's going to take a little bit of estimating. So I can see where 0 miles is. I can see where 5 miles is. Halfway between that would be 2.5 miles. And then you look in half of that. Half of 2.5 would be 1.25. So you're looking a little bit to the left of halfway, which I think would be about 1.5, 1.6 kilometres. Remember, there's 1,000 metres in a kilometre, so it's 1.6 kilometres. It will be 1,600 metres. Well done if you got that right. Super. So, number 2. This graph shows the length of a shadow of a tree at different times of day. When was the shadow 10 metres long? And then can you use this graph to predict the height of the shadow at 8 p.m? So I know this is going to be a bit tricky for you because you've not got this printed out, but try and almost draw an imaginary line between all the points and then go for 10 metres. About where would that have been? And can you predict the height of the shadow at 8 p.m? So if you carried on that line, where would you get to? Right, okay then, so I've tried to join it up so you can see a little bit what it looks like. I'm afraid it is not the best drawing because I've had to do it on the computer. So, when was the shadow 10 metres long? Well, here's 10 metres. If we go across, I think it's in between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, which would be 9 o'clock. And then use the graph to predict the height of the shadow. Oh, and also, one other point I should say is actually it's also 10 metres at 4 o'clock as well, because as you can see, the shadow gets smaller and then it gets bigger again. So there would be 2 answers for that one. So it would be at 9 o'clock and at 4 p.m. And the second one, use this graph to predict the height of the shadow at 8 p.m. Right, well, that's 6 p.m. And there's 4 lines between each hour. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would be here. This would be 8 p.m. So if I go up, mine is in between this point, and this point. Some people's might be a bit different. I'm not sure I've drawn that brilliantly. So it'd be 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 in between. So mine would be 19 metres. You might have had 18, you might have had 20. Well done. Okay, questions then. So in your workbook, it is page 117. Here is question 1. Here is question 2 and 3. And if you want to, here is the challenge. Here is question 4. Okay then, answer time. So you needed to plot the information on the graph using the table. So 0 feet is the same as 0 inches, 2 feet is the same as 24 inches, 3 feet 36 and 4 48. Now from the graph, or actually from the table, you can then work out the rest of the information. So you want to draw a nice straight line connecting all those points. Hopefully you got that 1 foot is the same as 12 inches, and actually you could work that out because if 2 feet is 24 inches, divide them both by 2, 1 inch would be 12. If you know that, you can also work out that 10 feet is then 120 inches because you're timesing it all by 10, but hopefully you are using your graph for this so you can see this. And then on your graph, hopefully if you went across to 3.5 feet, you would then be able to see it's 42 inches. 5.25 feet is the same as 63 inches. And then for the bottom 2, you need to go up the y-axis first of all. So 30 inches is the same as 2.5 feet, and 100 inches is the same as 8 1/3. 8 feet and 1/3. Quite tricky to say that one. Super. So for number 2, you needed to use the information to draw the line graph of the population and predict the population in 2020. So hopefully your line graph looked a little bit like this. So you can see that every year the population is increasing. So for 2020, I would expect somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000 as your population. Between 4,000 to 5,000 as your estimate. Well done if you got that right. Lovely. So number 3 was about the flight of a firework. So again, you needed to plot the graph, which hopefully it's a little bit like this. So you can see that as time went on, the height increased and then it decreased. And you should be able to say that when it reached 0 meters, so when it reached the floor, it was probably between 11 and 12 seconds. So anywhere between 11 and 12, and I would give you the mark. Well done. Super. So the last one then was the challenge. Again, you need to complete the graph. This one was a little bit trickier because you had to work out your own scale. So there's a suggestion of what the scale should be there on the screen. And there's not an exact, these are kind of the closest answers, but if you were estimating, so if you got anywhere close to the answers underneath, you've got that right. Well done. That was a tricky one. You had to draw your own scale and plot your graph. So well done. Right, we are now finished with statistics. That is that topic done. So well done. You have now learned everything in Year 6 Maths. We are now completely up to date. So what we'll be doing over the next few weeks is making sure we are ready for secondary. We are revising any topics that we need help with. We are looking over those trickier topics again and making sure that we are secondary maths ready. Okay, so there is an end of unit check if you would like to have a go at it. There's also a power play, which is a little game that you can play with somebody at home. And then at the back of it, there's my PowerPoints. And you can write down how confident you are with all of the different things. So there's unit 13, 14 and 15. So how confident are you with those things? Let me know if there's any specific things you would really like to go over, because we've got time now for you to work on things that you have found tricky this year. So let me know if there's any specific things that you would like to go over. Right, well done for this week. You have been amazing. I will see you soon. Goodbye.